parents of individuals with special needs, and we link families to local resources, services, and disability-friendly events. The Family to Family Network is a project of the Utah Parent Center. Tonight, we're going to talk about assistive technology. We're excited to have Tasha and Brianna from the Nebo School District Assistive Technology team who will be presenting tonight. But first, I want to turn some time over to Julia, who's going to take care of a little bit of business, and then we'll move on to Tasha and Brianna.
Awesome, thanks Tracy. So Tracy did mention that these two awesome leaders are here from the Nebo School District. I wanted to quickly mention that we have 30 teams across the state of Utah providing assistive technology services to every student in a public ed setting. So every student from preschool through high school and beyond, 18 to 22 as well. So if you are not here from Nebo School District and would like that information of where your team is located, I'm going to put that into the chat. That's uatt.org. You can find your team leaders from across the state. It's from Cache down to St. George, over into the Basin and to Tooele. We also provide services to all of our charter schools. So you can find that information there. I'm also going to put my information into the chat so you can contact me directly if it gets a little confusing. But it's so awesome we have these two here tonight providing information about assistive technology. And with that, take it away. I'm super excited. These two are some of the best in our state. Thanks for being here. Have fun.
Thank you. So like they said, we are from Nebo School District, and we just wanted to show you guys a couple of different programs that Nebo offers. And I know that different districts offer different type of options for, especially for reading and writing. But with our district, this is what we offer. And we offer Snap and Read and Co-Writer. And so up here, there's like this little target, and that is the Snap and Read. And so to turn it on, we always have the student go to like Wikipedia and they choose like a favorite topic they want to talk or look at. And I'm a huge baseball fan, so I always do baseball. And so we always show them that this is kind of overwhelming, and it makes me like, it's overwhelming basically. And so we show them how to remove the distractions. And so you're not losing any information. It's just removing all the ads and the everything. And so it makes it very friendly to be able to read. And so with I have to move my picture just a second, sorry. So with the speaker, you click on the speaker and then you can click on any of the words and it will start to read it to you.
Baseball is a bat and ball game played between two opposing teams of 9 players each.
And in the options up in the target, I'll show you that in a second. You can change the speed, you can change the pitch, you can change the person. Apparently I have it with somebody, I need to change it. But anyway, so that's the speaker. And the next one is a screenshot. And so if you have like a PDF, then you can click and drag, and it will read the text in a PDF for you. So it's basically taking a picture of it and reading it for you. And it takes a second.
Baseball is a bat and ball game played between two opposing teams of 9 players each.
And so this is nice because it will work in the Canvas, it will work in Google Classroom, it will work with any PDF. And so that's kind of nice for the students to have that option. And Bree, if you have anything you want to add, go ahead.
Yeah, also with any pictures as well. So if you were to email yourself any sort of picture that you had taken of anything that was written, then it would read any of the information from that picture as well.
And then this next one is the Simplify. And so if you click on it, it will simplify some of the words. and they'll italicize it, but I don't know if it did it. So let me come up here and so the options right there, and you can change it to make it simplify even more words. And so we always have them go out and do the options so they can show us where the remove distractions is. So it's kind of nice for them to be able to do it. Okay, so now with the simplify, if you click that, then if you see anything italicized, then it gave us a synonym. Did I say it right? I can't say that word for some reason. And so you can click on the italicize and it will show you the original word, or you can click it and it will give you that synonym. So, and then there's the layover for some of our kids that it's overwhelming to have just even that much of a blank screen or the words, then they will have the layover and you can go ahead and push the speaker and it will
Baseball
read
is a
it.
bat and ball game played between two opposing teams.
And
of
you
9
have to
players
move it
each. They take
down
turns bat-
as it's reading it to you. But it is kind of nice to just to have it right there. And
That also helps with like visual impairment or difficulty with tracking the reading.
And then the last thing on Snap and Read is if they have like a research paper that they're working on, then they can add a quote and it will save that quote for them in the outline, and then they can come to the sources and it will do the MLA for them. That's usually what the high schools are using. And so for the reference page, they don't have to come up with the rules of how to do the MLA. So that's kind of nice too. I don't know if you guys can talk. Is there any questions on that Snap and Read, or can we not, or I don't know if people can say anything.
So remind me, this is on Google Docs, right?
Yes, thank you for asking
Okay,
that. Well,
thank you.
it's
On
on
Google
a
Chrome.
Google Chrome extension.
Yeah, so with this, it's a Chrome extension that we can give to the students, and then it's always attached to their student email. So it's really nice because any Chromebook or any computer that they log into, it pulls up. Even if you're using Chrome at their house, they then have this available to do their homework. So it's always available to them, which is really nice.
Thank you for asking.
And Tasha, there was a question in the chat. Can you slow the tempo?
Yes, you can. Yes. And yes, it's through a 504 or an IEP. Our district offers it. Any other questions? So in the options, that's where you can slow it down. Oh, Cindy raised hand. Okay.
Hello, sorry.
Hi.
I don't know if you can see me. I usually do this on a different device.
Nope, we can see ya.
So if it's with the 504, like my daughter has dysgraphia, so she doesn't have dyslexia, but with dysgraphia and all of the things that go into that with sentence structure and spelling and all of that kind of thing. Would it be something that could be used for someone that doesn't have dyslexia diagnosis? Could it be
Yes.
used for someone who has dysgraphia?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
That's awesome. This is great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
No, it would be great for her. So,
Is there any more up in the chat?
oh,
Have some new chats. Can just download it myself and put it on my child's account. Yeah, so these are all things that you could technically purchase yourself and add to your child's account. But also, the way that the assistive technology teams usually work is if we are doing this evaluation and saying, hey, this is something the student needs to be successful, then the district provides that to them. So one benefit of going through that evaluation is then the district will provide it, they'll pay for it, and then it follows them. You can have it in their IEP, those kind of things.
And somebody asked if it needs to be written in a plan to have access to this. So we recommend writing in the accommodations to do the text to speech or the speech to text. And then in the PLAF, they can write what programs we're using.
Yeah, in the accommodation section of the IEP is what she's talking about. So usually we're not a part of the IEP team, but whenever this assistive technology is something a student needs to access the curriculum in the same way as their other general education peers, then that can be written in as an accommodation in the IEP by their IEP team. So the next question, would they add it to an IEP if the child doesn't have a specific reading disability diagnosis? You can use this regardless of any sort of diagnosis. The only, at least in the Nebo school district, our only thing is that they have a 504 or an IEP. It doesn't matter what the 504 or IEP is for. Great. And I think they are recording the video, so it should be, they answered that question. Great.
Okay, any other questions about Snap and Read? Okay, we will move on to the next program. I'm going to turn off the Snap and Read. So, okay, let's go right. Oh, right here's your the speed and the pitch and the volume that you can change. And then if they don't like the background color, you could change that. You can change the layover, the guide, and that kind of thing. And then, I didn't show the definition. Just kidding. So let me hurry and show this because I skipped that.
Turn Snap and Read back on.
Yes, let me turn Snap and Read back on. Sorry, guys. Let me remove distractions again to make it easier to see. So with the definition, you can double click on a word and it will give a definition, and some of the ones will have pictures and some words won't have pictures. And so it's kind of nice. This was just added, the pictures were added in December because we did an eval like at the beginning, like at the end of November, and by the time we did one again in December, they had pictures. And so they are always upgrading and adding new features that help us. And so it's kind of exciting to have different options and having it upgraded. So there's the definitions. Okay, so now, right on the side, the black, that's where your toolbar is. I didn't say that either. So I'm going to turn that off. And the next program is called, let me get into a Google Doc, just a second. Okay, my son changed my screensaver and I don't have the heart to change it because I don't like chickens. And so he thinks he's funny. So. Okay, so with the Snap and Read, not the Snap and Read, I'm sorry, the co-writer, it's this little brain looking one, and I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to have Bree talk about this one so you guys don't get sick of hearing from me.
That's perfect. So as soon as this one pulls up, the co-writer, so our Snap and Read is more of our reading-based assistive technology, and then the co-writer is the accompanying writing-based. So when we get that turned on, it pulls up a little, so our Snap and Read toolbar is on the right side here, and then our co-writer, it comes right where you're typing.
And it's still thinking. Maybe.
The technology is just sometimes slow. And this, is something we also get to explain to the kids as we're doing the evaluation with them, is sometimes we just have to be a little patient. Perfect. So this one right here is our co-writer. And usually as we are using this with students, we'll start by asking them, hey, how do you feel about spelling? And oftentimes it's, oh yeah, spelling's tricky. Usually we say, okay, we're going to give you some things to help spelling. So a word that we'll often ask them to try to spell is cousin. That's one of our more tricky ones. So if you start to type here and you're trying to spell, sound it out, cause it changes
Cause.
down here. And so if you hold the little mouse above
Cause.
the different words,
Cozy.
it will then read it to the student.
Casual. Cursors. Cuzco.
And then that can help them
Cozy.
decide, okay, is that the word I'm looking for? Or do I need to add
Causing. Cousins.
So then, oh yeah, cousin. So I'm going to click on that and it will change
Cousins.
it. And then it reads the word that you chose. And then you can say, okay, well, I didn't want it to be plural. So then you might just erase that S there.
So you can either push or click on it, or you can push the number next to it.
Yeah. So
And
if,
it will-
Causing.
yeah, you could choose number
Choosing.
3 and then it would do choosing.
Choosing.
Yeah. So that is the word prediction feature. Often we'll bring up, that, hey, if you have a cell phone, this is a lot like your cell phone word prediction. It's just helping us with our spelling. A cool part with the word prediction too, this middle button right here that looks like a book. If we click on
Ninja
this
Force.
and the student, say they are in science class, they're having to write a paper on DNA sequencing. So we can
DNA
click on
sequencing.
that and then it creates what's called a topic. So when we turn this topic on, it
Movie.
then has more words that are related to DNA sequencing that will show up first in our word prediction. So see, now that I did that, the
DNA
first word that it's suggesting is that sequencing and then DNA. So that helps with the students as they are
Movie.
writing papers on different topics, that then they can turn these topics on and off as they need to. Okay, and then again, this is just if we wanted to turn on if a student was writing, usually they would have snap and read and co-writer, but if they just wanted to quickly listen to what they had written or just a part of what they had written, they can use this feature to then listen to that and help them with their editing. And then we also have the far right microphone is our text to speech. So then speech to text, thank you.
I say
They go both ways in the
Yes.
head. Speech to text, so that we can turn this on and the students can then do voice typing. And usually with this, we'll have them try it a couple of times, maybe like, hey, write a sentence about your favorite thing or write a sentence about what you did this weekend. So we just kind of make sure that they know how to do the voice typing. And then up in the little brain, so that's all of the stuff that's here in the toolbar. In the brain, we also have some options where we can create a topic. So if they're on a specific research page, they can create a topic from that page, create a topic from the selected text, and then some options again with the different colors, the different, pitch, the rate at which it's being spoken. So some of those same kind of options as the snap and read. So that is kind of the overview of the co-writer. And at this point, we can stop and take some questions on that specific program if anybody has anything. So we'll look at the chat really quick. Does the program work on other word processors or just Google Docs? It works on any word processor is my understanding, and also even like on search bars, anywhere that you're typing, usually it will, if you have it turned on, it will pull up and then you can use it.
like in Canvas, it will work and that type of thing. And also, if you're back in here, if you like, I'm going to record something so I can show you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to remove the chat again. Okay. This weekend, I went camping and it was freezing cold and we went four-wheeling. Oh, just kidding. Did it not record? Oh,
No,
there we
it's just
okay.
thinking.
It's just thinking.
You
I'm
just
like,
have to be
wait.
patient.
See, and see it still.
Weekend I went camping and it was freezing cold and we went four-wheeling. Oh, just kidding.
So this way, you can go back. Like, let's say you had a whole paragraph and you kind of dozed off for the last sentence. Then you can click on this arrow, and it
Freezing
will go
cold
back
and we went four-wheeling. Oh,
so
just
many
kidding.
words, and they can re-listen to I fell asleep not listening to.
Yeah, and that's a good example of, oh, sometimes, the speech to text, it's just going to record everything that it hears. So then you may have to go back and do a little bit of editing, but that's kind of built into the feature as well. So that's awesome.
Right. So we go in and train. So we're training teachers. We're going into in-services and training the teachers. And then, yes, we as a UAT team will go in and train the students of how to use it. And then we meet with the parents. I went and talked to somebody in Cache Valley, and we liked how they did their evals with the reading write, or with the snap and read and the writing. And so we're going to kind of do what they do. And oh yes, thank you, Utah Assistive Technology team. So we will have the teacher email the one of us and say, hey, we have this student that needs it. And then we will set up a time to go in with the student and the parent at the same time and show them how to use it, and let the parent or let the teacher know that we did this. And we will write in, we use Embrace, I don't know, like for our IEPs. And so in Embrace, on the contact form or on the contact parent log, then we write a little blurb saying that we went and trained the students and with whatever program they're using. And then we send out suggestions with to the parents. And so that way they know they have like a cheat sheet and some other ideas of how to use the program.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. Any questions about co-writer?
Great.
Okay. And then there's one more program that we want to show you about with this, and then we have some communication programs we want to talk about.
So while you're pulling that up, so the Utah Assistive Technology team, it has evaluations that we do for the reading and writing, which are these that we're showing you, and then also for communication devices. And so we do serve a wide spectrum of students, which is really cool. And we have a lot of assistive technology options for really anybody along that, special education spectrum. So this last one that we'll show you is one more that is really good for the reading and writing students. And then, like Tasha said, we'll go into some of the ideas that we have for those students that need communication systems.
For some reason, it said your screen sharing is paused.
Oh.
Did I do something wrong?
Try to resume share.
It looks good on this side.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Yeah, we can still see you.
Oh, okay. And you can see our screen?
We can see Mic Note up on the Chrome web store.
Perfect.
Up on the web store. Okay. They may
That's the tab we're seeing open right now.
Okay. Do you see what looks like a notebook page?
No, we don't see that one.
I think that it may be because this is a different kind of app, it may not be supported through the Zoom screen share. But we can still talk about what it does.
Yeah, so I can't share it. Sorry. I wish we could. Go ahead, Bree. I'll let you talk.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah. So this program that you can't exactly see, it's called Mic Note, and we'll just go through the gist of it. So there's a free version. It allows a student to so what you do is you pull up a note page, and then it allows the student to type notes. They can turn on a microphone that records like a lecture. And as they type notes, they may make like one or two words to help them remember one part. So if we were going back to that DNA and we're starting to talk about what is DNA, I might just write like definition and then push enter, and it's going to make a timestamp on that lecture. And then the next part, they're talking about DNA sequencing. So I might write sequencing and then push enter. And as I go through the lecture, if I make those little notes, it's going through that recording. And then when I stop recording, there's a bar at the top with little white dashes for each. It shows the entire recording. And if you click on one of those dashes, then it starts playing the recording from that spot, which is one of those main notes that you took. So you can go through and then listen to the parts of the lecture that they may need to do their assignments. And then they're able to then save those lectures, listen to them later. And that is really great for the classes with the note taking, because it does have that recording option, and then also where they can type the notes. And then the other cool thing is they can take a picture either using the laptop that they're using, or even a Chromebook or a phone. If they take a picture with that, then they can upload that picture into the notes. And so if they wrote a bunch of notes on the board, the teacher did, and they take a picture, then that note will be right there. That picture will be right there within their notes. And with the free version, it's 10 minutes and then 4 pictures. But then there's a premium version that's not very expensive that the district then provides after the students have gotten used to it, that it will record up to 4 hours of a lecture, and they can upload up to 100 pictures. So that is really great for the classes that are note heavy, for students that may have some processing difficulties or be slow at note taking, slow at typing, those kind of things. So that is one that we've just been able to start using this year, and we've found really helpful for a lot of those students who are in those, in science and math and some of those content heavy classes that they need just some support with getting that information. So sorry, we couldn't exactly show you what that one looked like, but again, Mic Note, it's just MIC Note. If you look that up, anybody can get that free version and try it out. So
Any questions on that one? All right,
great.
Okay, so our next one is some communication.
Oh, somebody raised their hand.
Oh, sorry.
Just click on.
Where are we at? Oh, right there. Where did it go?
I don't know, but I think whoever raised their hand can talk.
Oh, right
there we go.
Sorry. Yeah, we were just wondering, like, what device do they use to actually record? Can they use a phone if they're like logged into their email account on there, or do they have to have the computer? How does that actually work technically?
On the Mic Note?
Yeah.
The Chromebook.
So yeah, our district has Chromebooks that they all use. I haven't tried it on a phone, but I don't see why it wouldn't work on a phone. But we would have to try that.
I'll write that down and we'll have to try it.
Okay, so like the Chromebook just at the desk, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah. And so go ahead.
Lake City School District. I can't remember what they use, so I'll find out. Thanks.
Yeah. And I would think that we can even really quick while we're talking through this, Google and see if or maybe Julia, since she said she would work in the background. Julia, would you be willing to look and see if Mic Note is supported on iOS?
You bet. Yep.
Great. Awesome. So then we'll know if it would be supported on like iPhones or on iPads, which is, I imagine either the districts would have iPads or Chromebooks, most of them.
And even if they have a laptop, if you're using the Chrome extension, that would work. Or browser.
Which actually this computer that we're using right here is a MacBook, so I don't see why it wouldn't be supported on iOS since we're using a MacBook.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Any other questions? I wish I would have had this in college.
Yeah. And that is a lot of the time when we go and work with students. Sometimes, the motivation can be a factor because, these are awesome. And as parents and as adults looking back are like, hey, I wish I had that in college, but telling them some of those things, making it more available to everybody, making it more, saying, hey, it's just like our texting, making it more normalized is, I feel like, where we've seen the best success with students.
Well, and I love to tell them that I'm getting my master's right now, and I use this, like I use the Snap and Read and the co-writer with my master's, and I'm loving it. And so I want them to know that it's okay to use it because it's awesome.
Yeah. And if they are using, a good thing to know for your students, if they are using things like this in high school, middle school, anytime, and you have those accommodations of text to speech and speech to text included in your IEPs, then once the students are accepted to college and things like that, they can go to the accessibility office of those universities and colleges and say, hey, I have these accommodations that I've had on my IEP, and I need to make sure that I have these accommodations available to me in my college classes. So that's really great. These are things that can follow students throughout their education.
All right.
Yeah, so now we're kind of moving into those were the more mild to moderate. We're kind of moving into the more severe aspects of the assistive technology that we have available. So
when we go and do evals, we have different teams that go, and in our district we have a secretary that schedules it out. The parent or a teacher sends in a referral, and then she'll schedule whatever team and when the student's available to go out. And we offer low tech, which is like pictures and communication boards. And then we offer like Go Talks and Quick Talkers and switches. We should have brought some in to show you. And then we have some high tech, which is communication apps. So like Proloquo to Go and the Go Talk Now.
That could include like Toby's, Nova Chats. So for all of these, there are extensive amounts of devices in each of these different kind of ranges. Some districts, have one. Ultimately, our goal is just to find the system that's working the best for each individual student. And that's a big part of the evaluation process that we complete. And then making sure, whatever system that we're recommending or that's being given is meeting that student's individual needs.
I skipped.
So a big part, all of the devices aside, an important part of helping these complex communicators be able to use these communication systems is something called aided language stimulation. And that is something that basically means that we are using these systems with the students and modeling. So we have a couple of the questions that we're looking at is what is this, when should we be doing it, and who should be doing it. And so we have a couple of videos that we are going to show that just kind of illustrate this concept of what aided language stimulation is.
Okay, did we want to show the first one or the second one?
I think the first one. We'll show
it?
No, this one right here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is great. So yeah, so basically, there we go. And then the second one just talks a little bit about how often we should do this concept of modeling or aided language stimulation. But basically, the key is, what is aided language stimulation? It's just modeling. And when should we be doing it? We should just be doing it as much as possible. And that it just means that everybody can be doing this with the student who has that communication system. The second video had a statistic, that if we only did this modeling for, say 10 minutes every day, it may take a student up to 84 years to be able to effectively communicate. And so the more that we can do this modeling with the student, and the less that, we're expecting them to be able to output right away, the more successful that they're going to be. So, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be hard. As you're walking by and they're doing a project, you can say, oh, I like, and push to like, or point to the picture that says like. And so it just very simple. It doesn't have to be a hard thing.
Mic note for Chrome. Yeah, Julia put that, so that's great. Okay, so yeah, like Tasha was saying, it doesn't have to be, again, some tips for modeling, and this one's a little bit later on, but we don't have to model every single word that we say with the kid. We want to use kind of the part of the language system that they're at. So, and again, we didn't really introduce our other roles in the district, but I'm a speech language pathologist here in the district. So when we look at language development and we look at how students learn to talk, they're learning to talk one word at a time. So if we want a student to start using one word, then it's okay if our entire message is in one word. So that's completely fine. And those words that we want to focus on to start out with are what we call core words. These are words that can be used in multiple activities and settings. They're words that can be used all of the time. Go, like, want, any of those really usable in every, yes. I can't think of the word, but yeah, any of those type of words. We often implement in our classroom what's called the word of the week curriculum. And that is just a way that the teachers can then pick words each week that they are really, we focus on modeling for that whole week, a lot of every opportunity that we can, that word. And we will send home activities that can be happening at home. The best thing that we can be doing is, like we said, everybody's modeling. So then if we're all modeling that same word in that week, then we're helping those students to learn new vocabulary. And this right here, this bottom is just a link to one of those word of the week programs that has some of those activities that we will share with teachers. Okay, and so again, tips for modeling. We don't have to find a picture for every word we're saying. We're just getting the gist of that message. And we're modeling one symbol, above where the child is independently communicating. So if they're at that one symbol, if they're just doing one word at a time, then we're modeling 1 and 2 word utterances with them. So we may expand want to I want, or want more, so we're looking to expand, but not be overwhelming. And then that 50-50 model, ooh, what did I do? Sorry, I scrolled too far. The 50-50 model idea is just that half of the time we're just modeling, and then maybe half of the time we're encouraging them to, it may be just, giving them some prompt or touching their hands.
So hand under hand.
Or we're, pointing to their device, or expecting them to attempt to touch the button or the picture, whatever we're using to communicate. Tips for increasing vocabulary. We definitely want to allow the student time to explore. That helps them find new things, no matter what system they're using. If they're able to explore it and we explore it with them, then they find new things that they may want to communicate about. And then as we're teaching them those new vocabulary words, we want to make sure that we're giving them concrete experiences with them as much as possible. So if our word of the week is all done, which is technically 2 words, but as one symbol on a lot of the communication systems, then we're saying all done every time we finish something, and we're just really bombarding them with that word. And then also focusing on teaching vocabulary that serve a variety of communication functions. So we don't want to just teach the students to always be asking for things. We don't want them, that's not realistic as to why people need to communicate. It's not only to get things. So, we want to be working on answering questions, saying that they don't want something, making a comment, making social language, and then also just using consistent vocabulary at home and school, like we talked about. Do you want to go through this one? Or do you want me to keep going? I can keep going. So the best practice for not just devices, but any communication system, we want to make sure that the students have the ability to communicate at all times. So we may need a different system for a different setting, right? So we may not always be able to take our iPad into the bathroom, or we may not always be able to take our iPad to the swimming pool, but we want the students to be able to communicate. And so this kind of illustrates the idea that we may need more than one system depending on where we're at. So we may have the iPad for sometimes, but we may also sometimes just have those communication boards. We can use a variety of different systems, but the most important thing that we're looking at is just that we have those picture-based, that they're in a picture-based, picture-rich environment, so that we have pictures no matter where they are, and that we're keeping those pictures consistent.
So one of our schools, a team member made a huge board to go outside on their playground, and they have a couple hanging up on the playground with the different pictures, and so the students can interact out on the playground too, without having to take out their devices. So yeah. I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, so you can get really creative of, okay, how can we make this environment more accessible? How can we make this activity more accessible? How can we be thinking about what we need to do so that the kids always have a way to communicate.
And then you want to make sure you're honoring any type of attempt that the student makes to communicate. And so if they're signing, then honor that sign. If they are verbalizing a certain word, honor it. So we don't want to take away anything. We want to just keep adding to it. And
so if they make a sign, I'm not going to make them then go touch that picture or then go find that button on their device, that we're going to move on to other words that they may not have. And then if the student, again, something we've ran into in classrooms that we go into, they were throwing the iPad, or they weren't using it appropriately, they're talking out of turn. Those are great opportunities to teach the students some social skills, first of all, of, hey, verbal students have to learn that, hey, when it's our turn, we are able to talk, and when it's not our turn, we have to keep our voices silent. Those are skills that these students deserve to be taught just as much as anybody else, and those are skills that we can teach them. And then also the idea of, if they are becoming dangerous with it, then maybe it's that we replace it with one of those low-tech options, that, okay, in this activity, again, maybe the iPad isn't appropriate, but we always make sure that there's something, right? So we don't want to ever take everything away and leave the student with nothing to communicate.
And whenever you have a device, you want to use it just for communication. You don't want to have like a reading program on it, or any games or YouTube, because we want the students to know that that's their voice to be able to communicate.
Oh, and then, so we're just always making sure, as part of what we do through the assistive technology team is just taking data, making sure we may be switching things up frequently. A trial, it doesn't have to have a set amount of time. We can't expect that we give these devices or systems to a student and that they learn to use it in a week or two, or even in a month or two. The trial is something that is evolving as the student is evolving. And so we're, taking the data, making sure that they have what they need and changing that as their needs change. And then just some final thoughts before we open up for maybe some questions or anything like that. Again, the communication systems, they're amazing. They're opening up the world for the students, but they can be frustrating and difficult, just like with anything new and any change to a routine. So definitely, we can't just think, oh, we're giving this to them and everything's going to be great and they're going to love it. we work with them, we build up their tolerance for the system. And if nothing else, we're again just modeling. We're using pictures to communicate and teaching them that picture-based communication is a viable communication option, and that they can get the things that they want and need through that.
And there are ways around, like visually impaired, for the visually impaired, you can add texture, you can add braille, you can add just that type of system too for any visually impaired student too.
Yeah, and even with our kids with motor impairment, sometimes what we've done is, so like the switches that we mentioned where it may just have one message, we've made that to where it can be like that's it, or yes. And then what we've done is done like a partner assisted scanning type thing, where you then have options of things that we may read through that then they can choose, oh yeah, that's the thing I want to talk about. So it may be when they push the button that they want to talk, then it's we say body parts, want, bathroom, give them some options, and then they can hit the button again to choose the one that they want to talk about. So these types of things, and these even complex communication systems, we have ways to do those for the motor impaired, for the visual impaired, for any kind of thing. There are ways that we can be helping students who don't have a way to communicate better than they currently are. So yeah, again, we kind of went through those last couple of parts. So
we went through it fast. Do you guys have any questions?
We went through it fast. We fire hosed you, but that's because we only have an hour and this is a lot of stuff. There's 5 minutes left. So we would love to answer some questions, but yeah.
Any questions about any of this? Go ahead. If you're,
Hi, yeah, I assume you're speaking to me since I just
Yeah.
raised my hand. Okay. A while back, I found a website that had a ton of audio books. My daughter really struggles like reading the actual words on the page. And I asked the school if they could look into getting that, and it didn't go anywhere. And I'm wondering if your team can help with things like that. Are you aware of that?
yes.
Yeah.
So our district offers a couple. So there's Bookshare is a good one. And then our district also has SOAR.
It's called Sora, SORA.
Yeah.
And then there's also one called EPIC, EPIC. So there are several. I know that what the requirements in Nebo have been is just that the student have an IEP.
With Bookshare.
With the Bookshare, yeah. And
every
Sora is
kid-
available to
yeah.
everybody. So that's a more universal design. So you've asked, you may come and say, hey, we talked about this. What can you guys do to help my student make sure that she gets these things that she needs? Does that somewhat answer your question?
Yeah, it really does. Thank you.
Yeah.
If we already did our IEP for this year, rewrote it, and
Yeah,
can I have them go back in and amend it with these
Yes.
things?
absolutely. Yeah, you could amend it. And then also, just part of the procedural safeguards, and you're right, as a parent, you can always call for an additional meeting if you don't feel like they're doing what you've asked, or so that is just a Utah procedural safeguard right that you have as a parent with a special ed student.
And every district has a parent advocate person too, that you can find out who's your district one is, and they are so helpful. We love ours in Nebo, and she will come to our IEP sometimes, and she is there to help the parents and the teachers.
Yeah.
So if that's an option too.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So quick clarification on that. Not every district has an assigned one like Nebo does.
Oh, just
But
kidding.
everyone can contact the Utah Parent Center, and I'm putting their phone number into the chat. There's a half a dozen or so that has one assigned like Nebo.
Sorry, I
which is
lied.
amazing. That's there's a few, but everyone can contact the Utah Parent Center to get support if there's questions about IEPs. or 504s that you need support on. And I'll put that into the chat.
Awesome.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Julia. Our knowledge is limited to our
district.
understanding of the Nebo school district. So that's
We're
very
spoiled.
helpful.
So what's the first step in getting Snap and Read and co-writer? So your first one Heidi Whitaker is awesome. So your first step would be to contact
the file holder for your student. So like the resource teacher, the person who usually contacts you to do their IEP, I would contact them and say that you would like an assistive technology evaluation for reading and writing for your student. Yeah, and especially going into junior high. Like you said, a daughter in 7th grade that's going into junior high, that's a great time to get started. You know, if you're starting them in that middle school, junior high range with the Snap and Read, co-writer, those kind of things, then that just gives them the time to really get to use it before they get into, you know, high school and those really, really difficult classes. And then as far as the communication, always, anytime's a great time to start if you have a complex communicator. Okay, so we're just monitoring the chat. Is there any other questions that anybody wants to either type into the chat, or you're free to turn your mic off and ask those. I mean, turn your mic on and ask those.
It's me again.
Great.
Oh, good. That's great.
I cannot believe this. This is amazing. My daughter was diagnosed with dysgraphia in 5th grade. And, you know, I wish more parents knew about these things. I wish more parents knew about you guys. I wish more parents knew about Utah Parent Center. And so thank you for your time. This is just really, really awesome. I can see it helping my daughter a lot. So
good.
Mostly saying thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that input. No, we are hoping to get, you know, the word out and get these things to the students that need them. So that's great. Definitely spread the word. And yeah, somebody in the chat asked what dysgraphia is, and that my understanding is that it's similar to dyslexia, but just with the writing component. Is that?
Yeah, I'm learning about it too. So maybe this is too simple and this isn't the best way to explain it, but dyslexia is kind of from written language to their brain, and dysgraphia is the opposite. It's getting it from their brain written on paper, and it has to do with spelling. It has to do with just sentence structure, comprehension, a lot to do with even executive function and all that kind of stuff. She also has ADHD, so there's a lot going on, and autism. Anyway, but the easiest way I explain it is she can read Harry Potter. Well, some words she doesn't know, but she can read Harry Potter. She can tell you all about it, but she can't spell wizard, and she can't write a report about it. You wouldn't be able to read her writing if she used Chromebook.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, if she used Chromebook, it would take an hour to get, 4 sentences.
The typing, yeah.
But that's the nice thing about that speech to text, because then she can record herself saying it. And whenever we go out, we do give each kid a headset with a microphone. So if they are in class, then they will just speak into their microphone quietly so they don't disrupt everybody else, or they go out in the hallway, or they go into a separate classroom. And so your daughter would be able to do it that way. And so that would be awesome.
Yeah, and even the one that, taking notes and stuff. I mean, she struggles to take notes because she can't read it.
Right.
She can't read it fast enough. She can't. I mean, I'm just thinking this technology is just so awesome. I wish so many others had experience with it. I'm excited for us to kind of help her figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah. And what you said is a great point. We want to be able to get those things that are in her head out and take that barrier away. And that's what assistive technology is. It's removing barriers so that these students can access the curriculum in the same way as students who don't have some of these barriers. So that's great. That's a great explanation of kind of what we would be, the student that we would be hoping to help. So that's awesome.
Well, and Julia put in the notes or in the chat that to contact your assistive technology support in other districts. And so if you go to that website, you'll be able to find your team member and they will be able to help you too.
Yeah.
So, and somebody raised their hand. I don't know. I can't.
It was, and Eva Ruiz kept raising their hand.
That was me. I wanted to thank you guys also for inviting me to this. This is amazing. I have a little guy who is autistic. He is nonverbal. However, he is making strides right now.
Awesome.
And he has been seen by a speech therapist outside of the district and one inside of at his new school. At any rate, a device would be something that his developmental pediatrician, along with the speech therapist and the gal over at the school, is all advocating for him to get. He has been approved, but how do we get a device to help him? So each district will help us with that? Because I mean, he's just amazing. I mean, it's just, I have like a little leapfrog thing, and listen, he hasn't said his ABCs at all. All of a sudden, I was cleaning out the toy box and he started reciting the ABCs. I was just like, how is this possible? Right?
Awesome.
So I'm elated to even know that there is such a device out there.
Yeah.
I just, I feel like I'm a little stuck right now with not knowing how to get one of those.
Yeah. So like Julia, in the chat, the uatt.org website is where you can find the assistive technology team that is for each individual district. And that is also where you can contact those people to request that evaluation. So yeah, for us, usually what happens is after the teacher is contacted, the teacher then relays that information to our team and we schedule to go out and do that evaluation. So that should be, as far as our understanding of the other districts, what you would need to do to get your an evaluation from your district. Oh, and then Julia did say that she put in the chat her email address. So if you need to, you can contact her directly and she can help you with that process.
Thank you so much. And thanks again for this presentation. I really appreciate it.
Oh, anytime.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really fun. I saw a couple other people raise their hands. So,
and I need to jump in for just a second to do some clerical things. We have a poll that lets our funders know that we are helping families. So I'm going to put that up as people keep asking questions, keep talking. But before you leave, please answer the 6 questions on this poll and let us know that we're able to help. Thanks. Going.
Awesome. Okay. Whoever wants to go next.
I'm sorry, last question.
You're great. No.
You mentioned Sora, Epic, and Bookshare, and Sora is available to all students. We have that for my kids, and Bookshare was for IEP only. What about Epic? What is the availability?
We're gonna look
We're
that
gonna
up.
look it. Yeah, the Epic.
It's more geared to younger kids, the Epic, it seemed, from what I remember.
So it looks like here, as far as just like anybody would access it, the basic subscription lets you have access to one book every day for free from a limited library. And then it looks like there is a monthly subscription of about $6 a month. Now, that would be, again, if you just went in as a consumer to buy it. As far as our district is concerned, they've just usually, if a kid needs it, they'll put them on.
There's so many
so
licenses.
It may just, yeah, there's so many licenses. So it just depends probably again on your individual district
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
as to which of those they're using. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for these awesome questions. Anybody else? Oh,
Go ahead.
Eva, you're good to go.
Oh, I think that I already asked my question, but thank you.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It just said that you raised your hand again. So no, you're great.
Any other questions?
Okay, I think we're good.
All right. Well, thank you for letting us come. It was a joy. And if you have any questions, please reach out to Julia and she can answer them. No, I'm just kidding. And
if you're in the Nebo district, we'd be happy to help as well.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you, ladies, so much. You guys did a great job. So much great information.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great information.
Yeah, absolutely. We are always excited to get that information